The snow fell as Jiro, Ochako, and a few of Jiro's other friends walked into the bakery. It was Christmas Eve, and they needed a few more things for their Christmas party, mostly food. The quiet bakery was suddenly overcome with footfalls on the wooden floor. It was empty, other than the cute worker at the cash register, Jiro noted. Kaminari walked up to them and began flirting with them. Mina looked at Jiro just as she shook her head, a small smile adorning Mina's lips. "I'm so sorry for him." Jiro pushed Kaminari out of the way, earning a pout from the boy. The worker did not respond, but the amused smile that she saw let her know that they didn't mind. "What can I get for you?" they asked in a surprisingly low tone, almost like the third year she knew, Amajiki. "Some cookies, if you don't mind." "Not at all. How many batches?" "Oh, Jiro looked behind her. There were a lot of classmates missing, including Minetta, but she chose to ignore that fact. "I think 10 batches of 20 should be alright." The smile dwindled on the cashier. "When do you need them by?" "Tomorrow morning." Jiro glanced back at her friends with worry evident in her eyes. "Why, is that okay?" "Oh, no, it's fine," they said. "Just that being this close to the holidays, we're kind of short on most of our sweets." "Oh, that's fine." Jiro sighed. "I understand. Take care." She turned to walk away, hearing the many sighs from the classmates that were in fact there. They were pretty loud, but even if they weren't, Jiro's quirk would have caught them easily. "See, this is what happens when you forget to do your part, Cammy," Mina scolded. The group made to walk out of the bakery when the low voice of the worker called out, "Oh, wait!" The group of 4 turned around. "I can have the cookies ready by tomorrow," they said, calculating something in their brain. "If you give me the address, I can have them with you by 8. The group seemed to light up after hearing that. "Yes, that's fine." Jiro walked back over to the counter. "Do we pay now?" "Yes, please. Write down the address for me." They smiled, unconsciously analyzing themselves to make sure they looked all right, and the girl in front of them, who looked like a goddess Zeus had dropped off at the wrong destination. "What's your name?" they asked, then blushed a little as if they forgot themselves. I mean, what's the name on the order?" Jiro looked up, a half grin playing on her face. "Jiro. The name on the badge is Jiro, but this one," she pulled Kaminari into preview, "is paying for it." Kaminari waved with a grin. "Hi, remember me from about 2 minutes ago?" The cashier covered their mouths to keep from laughing. "Yes." Again, their voice caught Jiro off guard. If she wasn't aware of how rude it would have sounded, she would have told them right there that they were the cutest creatures she'd ever met. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Of course, Jiro had more reason than Kaminari. This is UA campus," the worker said, looking down at the address. They only knew it because their cousin went to UA in the supporting department. The group nodded knowingly. "Yeah, I'll tell the campus guards to expect you," she said. "Our dorm number is easy to spot. Look for all the Christmas lights and the wacky Santa man." "I spent a lot of time working on that." Kaminari crossed his arms, causing a stifle of laughs among his friends and the cashier. "We know," said Jiro. "You never fail to mention it." "I'll see you then," they said, looking into Jiro's eyes. It was all Jiro could do to keep from blushing. Of course. She thanked whatever god was out there that her voice came out steady. She couldn't imagine the humidity of it if it had accidentally cracked or she accidentally stammered. "Bye," the cashier waved as the students walked out. They sighed, leaning on the counter and staring at the address written in beautiful handwriting. The owner isn't so bad herself, they thought. The next morning was festive. There were families wanting to dine in, wanting to place orders, wanting sweets now. You let your coworkers deal with that, telling them you had placed an order with a few UA students last night. It was 7:30 a.m. You needed to leave now. If you didn't, you might be late. You knew UA was located around here somewhere, but you didn't want to get lost, then find it and get lost again because you couldn't find their dorm hall. You stacked the batches of cookies on a motorbike because you didn't have a car, and even if you did, you still didn't have your license or the legal age to drive. You secured the cookies as tight as possible, hoping for the life of you that from here to the dorm you'd have smooth riding. It took you a while. Traffic was pretty clear, but the snow that surrounded the roads made it so you had to swerve and stop and dodge multiple piles of it. Finally, with 15 minutes left to spare, you found UA. You turned your bike off and walked into the entrance. "I'm here on a delivery run," you said, smiling as kindly as you could. The guard looked at you suspiciously. "I'm gonna need to check those." He pointed to the box. You cringed. Before your shift started, you spent the morning fixing up the cookies. You had to bake them by yourself last night and wrap them. You got half done, but went home after almost falling asleep on the 6th batching. "I would really prefer you not to do. They're with me, Lynn," a voice stated from behind. Soon you were able to spot a head of deep blue hair. "All right then." The guard, Lynn, startled back into his stance. "Come on," she waved. You followed her, questioning everything about how you looked right now. You knew you might see her, so you spent a little extra time getting ready today. "So, how old are you?" she asked as she led the two of you to her dorm. 15. You would have twiddled with your fingers if not had been for your bike needing your hands to stay upright and steer. "And you?" you asked, avoiding her eyes. "Same," she smiled, although you didn't catch it. The girl, Jiro, eyed you for a few seconds before announcing that you were here. You looked up and gasped. Because your head was down, you didn't see yourself approaching. The lights had taken up most of your sight. You looked to the front of the lawn. There, sitting on the snow, was the inflatable snowman the group had talked about last night. "I can bring them in if you want." You smiled brightly. "Sure," she smiled back. "Mind I ask your name?" You turned your head up from the ground and looked into her gorgeous onk's eyes. You couldn't help but notice the small blush that had coated her cheeks. You wondered if you were the cause, or it was the cause of the freezing air outside. "Wyan," you said, regaining your senses. "Oh, it's very pretty." Soon she was walking in with you behind her. You didn't want to dirty the carpet, so you stood at the door. "Kaminari, Mina, Bakugo, Kirishima, help me." You handed them boxes as they walked up to you, 2 each. You were ready to leave when you heard Jiro's voice. More students had come down the stairs while you were handing the boxes to their classmates, so the room was getting pretty crowded. There was one boy in particular that creeped you out, but it would be rude to say something, so you didn't, and looked away, hoping it did not show on your face. "Hey, Wyan." She ran over to you with a cookie in her hand. "Want one?" You smiled and accepted the cookie. "Actually, I was wondering." She looked down and brushed her cheek with her index finger. "If I maybe could get your number?" You could literally float up to heaven and surprise God. He'd probably be mad because it's probably his day off, but who cares? Because this was actually happening. You tilted your head in the coolest manner and echoed, "Number?" Then, "Sure." "Okay, I'm ready." She pulled out her phone faster than you could blink. 212